This is the J. Scott Outdoors podcast on Western big game hunting and fishing, brought to you by GoHunt.com Insider. Research faster, hunt more. Go to GoHunt.com/insider and join today. I'm your host, Jay Scott, and I live and breathe hunting and fishing, spending half the year in the field experiencing God's creation. I hope you'll enjoy hearing about our adventures. Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. This morning is a frigid morning here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I think we're down in the 30s, which is cold for us here. And got Mr. Craig Steele on the line from Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters, Predator Exclusives. I got him and his trusty dog, Cujo, otherwise known as Paisley, the boxer. And Craig, I've been enjoying the Hunt for More video series on your YouTube channel, orghunt.com, and I can't get enough, honestly, of the Hunt for More series. And I don't know what it is. I've always enjoyed them, but something about this year, it's just got a really cool flavor. Not that last year and the year before wasn't the, is this the second year or third year?
Second.
Okay, so last year I thought it was awesome, but I'm really enjoying this year as well. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Got a little cold, but I'm not sick. It's snowing outside right now.
Snowing in Kingman, Arizona.
Snowing in Kingman. There's snow about 4,000 foot right now on the mountains. I saw this morning when I took my kids to school. It's actually snowing right now.
Wow. I was watching on the news last night, and they keep showing this big trough of moisture down there, south of us, and they just keep saying, is it going to work? Is the jet stream going to come down enough to pick up that moisture? And they're talking, macro. They're talking over the next couple months. They're not just talking this storm, but it sounds like if the jet stream would continue to drop down, and I don't want to sound like I even know what I'm talking about, I'm just repeating what I heard, that the Southwest could get some serious moisture over the next couple months. Let's hope it happens.
Yeah, for sure, man. I knew they were calling for El Nino, but I haven't been following the mid to long term forecasts. I've just been too busy.
I understand. I've been following your adventures there on your Instagram page, and for those of you, most of you know Craig Steele, but for those of you who don't, Craig Steele's Instagram is at CraigSteeleAZ, and he also has, obviously, Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters on Instagram and Predator Exclusive. Exclusive or exclusive?
Exclusives. There's a few of us.
Goodness, I was going to say, so it's plural.
It's plural. That one is plural.
I mean, could you have chosen an easier name for me, just like ABC Welding or something? So, I mean,
that started out as just wanting to give a predator guiding service a name that kind of stood out, and
I love it, actually.
So it works.
Nice. I've got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about this morning. First of which, and I would say most importantly, the Arizona Cardinals, the last time I checked, are 11-2, and those scummy New England Patriots are 11-2 as well. Now, that's not to be overshadowed by the old Carolina Panthers that are 13-0.
Yeah, they haven't won anything yet, though.
What would Cam Newton's looking pretty stout this year. What would happen if the Cardinals and the Patriots played in the Super Bowl?
Who?
Besides total annihilation of the Patriots, but I mean, would you and I have to get together and watch the game?
Full disclosure, Jay's rubbing me because he knows I'm a Patriots fan. And I know probably about 80%, 90% of you out there probably hate me now, but it is what it is.
Hey, you were a Patriots fan long before any of the controversy, so I will give you that.
No, for sure. They got to play the game. there's, he's got to play the game, Any given Sunday, regular season doesn't matter except for getting in the playoffs and being healthy and being on a roll. And, I don't get to watch football as much as what I want to. My wife lets me every now and again when I'm home to watch a Patriots game. Otherwise, I keep checking the scores online. But, I don't know. See, real season starts when the playoffs get here.
Yep. I watched a pretty cool thing on Bruce Arians, and I'm a football fan. I have Cardinals tickets and have since they started. But the last couple of years, actually, my neighbor that sits next to me at the games, he's actually taken my seat. So I don't want to come off as this, diehard go to every game Cardinals fans, which I do watch them, and I did watch them. I've watched them ever since I was a little kid. But it's pretty cool to see. I watched a show on Bruce Arians, and the guy's just a winner. I didn't realize all of his history and all the different teams he had been with and what have you. But he's doing something right, and he obviously surrounds himself with people that are doing things right. And, it's exciting here in this town to have, we went through so many years of our team just being...
Who is it? Who is it? Bidwell that used to own the team, and now his sons or somebody owns the team? Who?
Well, I don't know exactly. I think the ownership group is still exactly the same. I just think the son, Michael Bidwell, is basically running, the team. I believe the family still owns the team. I don't believe there's been any change, but I like listening to 98.7 Ron Wolfley, the ex-Cardinal.
Gosh, I cannot stand Wolfley.
Oh, give me a break, dude. He's the best commentator out there. Anyway, I listen to him. I love that guy. And he gets me all fired up for the games. It's been amazing. The Cardinals, and we're going to get to hunting here in just a second, but the Cardinals have actually kind of been the darling of the NFL this year. They've rearranged their schedule several times so that they could be on, TV. They've been on Monday night. They've been on Sunday night. They just played on Thursday night. So it's pretty cool for our town. It's pretty cool for our state. Hopefully
Fitzgerald actually getting some guys around him, and Carson Palmer seems like he's a pretty straight up guy. So I mean, it's hard to root for. It's hard to root for. That's why I like the Patriots organization, because they don't put up with BS. It's hard to root for teams now with the way free agency is and everything, because I hate to root for. I mean, coming from rooting for a team that had a murderer on it, but I just hate to root for crappy people. Not that we actually know everybody in the Cardinals organization and whatnot, but anyway, I'll probably catch hell over that, because people send me emails about deflating balls, and I'll get picture mails and blah blah blah. And, they need to read the 500-page report and accept the truth. So
that's it, huh?
Yep.
Your email's just gonna blow up. What's your email address again?
I'll take you. They can find it.
Oh man, so sheep season, for those guys that are still out there hunting, it sounds like the blacks are covered in snow. I know a guy that our friend Fred Ashurst was helping shot a great ram. Looks like a real nice flared out ram. I haven't heard much from Region 3.
The two best rams that I know of, both are from locals. A gal killed a 171-inch ram at a 15D South. Her husband's a heck of a hunter. I think it's Cindy McGee. No, sorry. No. It's, gosh dang it, Wade Reeves' wife. I think it's Crystal Reeves. And then the Fred Ashurst's friend is John Beauchamp. He's from here, and that ram he killed is somewhere in the low 170s, and that one's from 15D North.
Yeah, Sorry to interrupt, but I've gotten an email talking about some of the coughing sheep in 15C South, 15C North, and then a few now in 15D North. Let's hope that they can get a handle on this, and let's hope that this symptom of pneumonia, let's hope that it's not pneumonia, and let's hope that it doesn't sweep through the whole herd up there, because 15D North has been the darling of Region 3 for a long time, and they've actually the last couple of years surveyed over 500 sheep in that unit, and they've used that unit to transplant out of into a lot of these different units. They just transplanted a bunch of sheep up by Kanab Creek in 12A and 13A, and I believe there were 40 of them that came out of 15D, and it's just those sheep are they're not extremely resilient, and they're very prone to disease and such. So let's hope that those guys that are running Wildcat and Maverick goats and sheep out there illegally, let's hope they catch those guys and put them where they need to be, because it's really too bad.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't spiral downhill on us.
Yeah.
Hopefully with wet weather it spreads those sheep out too.
So I want to talk to you now.
Sorry?
I just need to know, does Paisley eat raw meat?
Why in the heck did you ask that question?
I'm just curious. Didn't know if we needed to throw her a bone.
I have never gave her raw meat.
So like when you're skinning or doing something, she doesn't come out with an ear in her
My
mouth?
old hound dogs I used to have.
You just lost your last hound dog, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep.
How long did you have it?
10 years.
Goodness, that was hard to take, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy seeing Paisley on the hunt for more videos. I want to talk to you a little bit about, have you seen the Arizona Elk 2016 proposed regulations? A couple things that jump out at me are Unit 10. It looks like they're going to drastically reduce the number of bull tags in Unit 10. I'm looking here on the early rifle hunt. They've had it at 100, which in my mind has been ridiculous. They're dropping it to 60. They're dropping it down to 40 tags, which I would say, I believe that it's been overcooked personally, and that this needed to happen a year or two ago. But good to see it's happening now. It's just proposed, so it's not official. It looks like this coming year, Unit 1's going to be a muzzleloader hunt, 3C is going to be an early rifle hunt, 5B South's going to be an early rifle hunt. Those dates are the September 23rd through the 29th. Unit 9 is going to have an early rifle hunt, and they've bumped it up to 35 tags, which I about puked.
Got to make up revenue somewhere.
Dates on that are September 23rd through the 29th. 22 North has stayed the same at 30. 27 this year is going to be an early rifle elk hunt. Now, interesting. So last year, in 2015, they did a muzzleloader elk hunt in Unit 9 prior to the archery hunt. It looks like Unit 27 is going to be the victim this year. And I say victim because I don't agree with this at all. I think the Game and Fish Department does a great job overall, but I think this is kind of ridiculous. Looks like September 9th through the 15th, Unit 27, there's going to be 40 early rifle bull tags. You got any comment there?
Unit 10 is I got in there a little bit, and they're much needed cutting those bull tags. I mean, it's still not down the historical lows or anything like that, but it'll be a better hunting experience overall. But it's going to take a couple years of that for H class to to start creeping back up. But yeah, I think that's a good move. When I saw the Unit 9 stuff, I kind of briefly looked at everything. When it comes to Fish and Wildlife agencies, and it's just simple economics, and they are a business. It's a government oriented agency that's
Well, what does having 40 tags before the archers or after the archers have anything to do with economics?
I'm just simply stating whenever you see a cut in a tag somewhere that is drastic, like Unit 10's cuts for elk this year, you're going to see them go up other places. Or in the next year or two, you're going to see prices increase on licenses and tags. I just think it's, I'm not agreeing with how their hunts are structured at all. I'm just saying that, they have to make the revenue.
Right. No, I'm all for them. I mean, I think they do a great job in what they do most of the time.
And I agree with you. Like, on some of the hunts, it's like, why do they do that? I mean, and that's where you go in there and you raise your hand and raise your voice and try to,
and they say thank you, and that never does anything.
Give your opinion and move on and move forward, But as far as, they're going to make the revenue. They have to, and that's why prices are always going to increase, and elk's a big money maker for them,
Yeah, I'm looking here at muzzleloader elk in Unit 10, the late hunt. They're dropping it by 75. So from 150 muzzleloader bull tags in November 4th through the 10th, it's going to go down to 75. I think that's good. Keep rolling down here. It looks like the archery hunt in 6A is going to drop from 775 to 700. Good night. Sounds good to me. Pretty much no change here.
Do you see
Unit
the ads?
10. I'm looking for the ads here. So Unit 8 is going to go up 25, so from 150 to 175. Unit 10 archery is going to go from 200 to 125, so they're knocking 75 off of that one. Unit 21, they're going to take 5 tags off, so it's going to go from 15 to 10. Here's the one that I gotta hope is a typo. I mean, I'm looking at this and it's like jumping off the page. Like in the old cartoons when the guy smashes his thumb and the thumb just throbs? Yeah. That's what this one's doing to me. Unit 9, archery, September 16th through September 23rd. So it's going to be a week later than the rest of the scheduled archery season. So one would say, wow, great, that sounds fantastic. But then you go up to the early rifle hunt and realize that the last week of the archery season, and I hope this is a typo, and it probably is, they have it, unless this is a typo, as the rifle hunt is going to overlap the last week of the archery season.
That's got to be a typo.
It's got to be a typo. So, but that's what it says. You can go to AZGFD and you can click on proposed regs, and it says clearly, September 16th through September 29th, 2016, Unit 9, 100 tags, no change on number of tags. But then you go up to the early rifle and it says September 23rd through the 29th, 35. So that's got to be a typo. Let's hope it is. I'm looking at 22 North, the late hunt. The late archery hunt. They're going to add 20, so it's going to go to 375. And then in Unit 9, the late archery hunt is going to bump up 45 to 100. Late archery.
Oh, man.
I don't like it. Don't like it one bit.
Have fun hunting there.
The crown jewel Unit 9 has been seeing some serious.
It's just like anything else, though. It's just a business.
It's a business, and this is my podcast, so I have the right to complain.
I know. It's funny when people look at these and they're I get it, but on the same token, you and I are both very conservative with how we want our tag numbers.
I think honestly, elk is cheap. I mean,
yeah.
I'd rather see them bump, and I know I'll get some hate mail on this, but I'd rather see them bump the price up a little bit than increase numbers to increase revenue.
Well, especially on the bull hunts, But that's
All right. Well, people can go to where can they go to? AZGFD. Go to hunting and then click on hunt guidelines and hunt recommendations. It says S2 pronghorn elk hunt recommendations. You can click on it and read. Let's hope that the Unit 9 stuff is a typo. Craziness, but I'm sure it's a typo. Now, you've been a busy little bee with all of your elk hunts. Looks like you guys had a really good late elk season. It looks like you did really, really well.
We did. We had just very good late, basically very good November. We killed multiple bulls. Best bull was right around 390. And I killed another bull that was right around 370, 300, 330. Multiple opportunities and whatnot. We had a good late elk season. It was we had great hunters in camp. We killed another 350 on the muzzleloader hunt. 350 type, pretty close. I mean, I rough taped him at, I think 345 and something. I didn't even add up the eights, so he's probably 347 or so.
What would you say? Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I'm good at interrupting. My wife tells me that all the time. What if anything, did you learn this elk season? Did you learn anything profound that just jumped out at you, or?
Well, the biggest thing that guys that come here to hunt or that are from out of state, maybe not familiar with elk, or even local guys, people do not understand that it's entirely impossible unless you have the funds and the time to keep track of bulls. And, everybody still wants to see those velvet trail camera photos that, we did kill a bull that we did have on camera that showed back up in late November, early December. We had on trail camera in early August, and we killed him about 2 miles from where he was at. But elk move. They are not a white-tailed deer. They're not a mule deer. They're not a coos deer. They're not an antelope. Elk are built to move and cover country. And they also, when you get to those late seasons, hunters come in with the, mindset. We always try to book realistic. And I'm always shooting for, I think a 350 is a big bull. Now, depending on the hunter, the hunter maybe he's never killed an elk before, so he just wants to kill a nice 6-point, or just a 5-point will do. But everybody wants to kill the biggest they can. For me personally, I'm like, a 350 is a big bull, and if you kill a 350 on the late hunt or 350 type bull, you're really accomplishing something, because you're going through all those hunts that we just talked about that used to not be there. And then you're dealing with breakage, horn breakage, and you get bulls that break their beams off or multiple tines off. I mean, you are really skimming the bottom of the barrel when it comes to those late hunts. And, I tell guys, and they kind of look at me funky, but if we could hunt for 350 bulls and dang sure try to kill them, and I'm more than happy to do it, but know what a 350 bull is and how hard it's going to be. And then when you do see a 350 bull, that 350 bull could be 350 or he could be 380, but you need to kill him right there. You need to kill him. Because if you don't kill him right then and there, you don't know if you're ever going to see him again. He may hold up in there, but a lot of those bulls get in the jungle and thick stuff, and that's how they make a living. And, you know, and I see also a lot of guys, you know, and I might catch crap for this, but bread and butter shooting on the late hunts is 300 to 600 yards. If you can't shoot 300 to 600 yards, and I'm talking about a steady rest, and I'm talking about don't shoot that if you can't. But if you can't shoot those distances now, you're probably not going to have a realistic chance at killing a 350 plus bull. Like, it's going to go down to like 1%. It just is tough. And where they live, they live in canyons and thick, nasty stuff, and you may only see, you know, them. And as soon as you drop down lower to get, you know, under 300 yards, you're in the jungle. You can't see them. You know,
I hear what you're saying, and I think it needs to be said that I think what you're saying overall is they are not forgiving. Those late elk hunts are, you get one chance, one shot, and you've got to make it count. Not only with your shot, but your actual time and your spotting those bulls. You've got to be there at the right time. And it's very unforgiving. It's not like the early season where you may shoot at them and they go back to bugling. They are very, very skittish, and they've seen every trick under the sun by that point in time. And you've got to make it count. I know what you're saying about being able to shoot and shoot, you know, long distance, and you need to be able to, if that's your bull, you need to get down and get it shot. You guys have done a fantastic job this year on the late hunts. One thing I've noticed, I didn't do any late elk hunting at all myself this year, not one time, but just general observer. It seems like the quality of bulls across the state on the late hunts have been pretty darn good. And I think, you know, in my opinion, the early hunts, there were some good bulls, but it wasn't just an unbelievable year like kind of we thought it was going to be. But it seems like maybe some of those bulls didn't break up as much. Maybe their antlers were a little bit stronger.
It was a low rut. It seemed like, that, you know, and the archery hunters weren't like yours. I mean, we had good horn growth, but the elk seemed to be, and I've listened to some of the podcasts. I just listened to Michael Parks, and he was talking about the rut up there, and you know, it, for whatever reason, you know, this goes back to we don't have it all figured out. And I know we talked about this before. It was a low rut, so I think there was some leftover bulls that, and it didn't seem like they fought that hard, you know, compared to what they didn't run as hard as what they sometimes do, in my opinion, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Let's take a quick break here, and then I want to get back and talk to you about predator hunting and coyote hunting and calling and some of the different situations with that.
Guys, as you know, GoHunt.com Insider is the title sponsor of this podcast. I wanted to tell you what a few other hunters say about the Go Hunt Insider. Randy Newberg, host of Loophold's Fresh Tracks TV show, says, "I take my elk hunting seriously. There is no such thing as too much information. There's plenty of old information. Go Hunt Insider gives me a fresh look at information with hard data and lots of it." Jason Hairston, the founder of KUIU, says GoHunt.com's goal is to help hunters spend less time researching and more time in the field. Mission accomplished. Brett Ross, the Colorado hunter that killed the 300-inch deer, "It's the best $149 I've ever spent." Guys, go to gohunt.com/insider, click the blue Join Now button, and use the promo code JScott at checkout, and they will send you a $50 KUIU gift certificate. They will actually email you an electronic gift certificate by joining Insider now. I want to thank GoHunt.com Insider for being the title sponsor of this podcast.
All right, Craig. I know you are an avid predator hunter, and you are every bit as into calling coyotes and calling predators as you are into calling elk and deer hunting and elk hunting and anything you do. I mean, I'm into turkey hunting. You're into predator calling. For me, I've never really been predator calling and hunting. I've done it very, very little. But I know there's a bunch of guys out there that love to do it, and you run a successful guide operation where you take non-residents who come from all over, and they hunt predators, hunt coyotes, and it is just a complete eye-opening experience for a lot of them. Some of the guys you have are very experienced predator hunters. Some of them are newbies.
Yeah.
Tell me about your love for predator hunting and what is it that drives the passion?
It's one of those things that once you experience it, it's like seeing a big old bull elk come in, screaming his head off. The animal's coming to you because of something you did. I started predator hunting, going with my dad and my Uncle Roy when I was a kid, and I was just sitting there huddled behind a bush and watching, and I called in my first coyote when I was like 11 or 12 years old with my buddy Kenny, and he missed it, and then the next day we called in another coyote, or double, what we call a double, which is two coyotes coming in at once, and was able to kill them both. And then it was just part of what we did. My dad trapped, and my great grandparents worked on a ranch. My dad trapped and called coyotes and sold furs for basically profit, and for income. It was a part-time deal, and furs were that was back when the fur buyer would come around, and it was a pretty common occurrence. And so I just, once you get in it, it sticks with you. I don't know of anything like it, as far as hunting wise. And, I started Predator Exclusives, the guiding business on that from my passion in it. And, that was in 2012. And I live in Kingman, Northwest Arizona, and, I'm right on the border. I have sheep hunting, I have elk hunting to the east, antelope hunting. Don't have a lot of huge mule deer right here where I'm at, just good solid over-the-counter hunts. But the one thing we do have is a just awesome amount of and diverse amount of predator hunting, from coyotes, gray fox, to bobcat, mountain lion, kit fox, badger, and we primarily target coyote and bobcat. The game has changed just like every other aspect of hunting with technology. I made a predator hunting DVD when I was going through my little filming phase back in, as far as trying to make DVD and make a living off DVD, which was a huge mistake. But back in 2004, and I got a call from Fox Pro. I was sponsored, and it was a FX3, and I actually still use that call to this day. And I use hand calls. The thing about predator calling is, it's you get that, some guys that, you're not really calling coyotes unless you're hand calling, and I'll get an email every once in a while. You cheater, usually you use an electronic call, and I will tell you that an electronic call is an awesome, unreal tool, and it has increased the amount of people that predator hunt, and it increases my success level. And so from that standpoint, I selfishly wouldn't care if they actually went away, but on the same token, I use the heck out of them. Going back to kind of coyote calling and predator hunters and the type of people that come out here and go on predator hunts, most of them aren't very experienced predator hunters, and they come from the Midwest and the East Coast, and they get to see just a bunch of diverse country. And on predator hunts, it's different than, our big game hunts, sheep hunt, elk hunt, where you're camped and then you're glassing and whatnot. You're hunting, you're driving from spot to spot and then going out, 50 to a half mile from a truck, sitting there anywhere from 5 minutes to 45 minutes on a stand, what we call a stand or a setup. And, you're doing 10 to 20 of those in a day. Doesn't sound like much, but it adds up. And guys just love the diversity of the terrain. And, we just had a guy come back. We get a lot of returners. Probably 80% of the guys returned. We got one guy that's got 3 hunts booked this year, and multiple guys with doing 2 hunts in a year. But
don't you say that more than half of them, every bit as much as they're enjoying the hunt, they just can't believe some of the rock formations and the sunsets and some of the different, open country and the amount of country that you can just drive on a dirt road and not have anybody around. I mean,
it's unbelievable. It's
like they're stopping to take pictures of stuff that you just, for lack of a better term, take for granted. The guys
from yesterday seen a roadrunner and said, "Hey, we've seen a roadrunner today," and we take so much stuff for granted, because a lot of the guys in other places and we just don't understand it, and we get all puffed our chests out and be like, it's just a roadrunner, or it's just a rock, or it's just a sunset, and all that stuff we take for granted. When you get these guys that lived in densely treed areas or in flat land that you don't see a mountain for 500 miles, it's kind of cool. It's really cool to see the appreciation and the excitement over a cactus, and I hate cactus, and it's unreal, and then you throw in predator hunting and calling a coyote on top of it. It's pretty amazing, and I enjoy them, because I'm home every night. Most guys fly into Las Vegas, either rent a vehicle or we go and pick them up, and then they stay in a hotel, and then we take them out and hunt all day, and then they're back at a hotel and at night and showering and doing whatever they do, and we go home and either skin coyotes or bobcats and go to bed and wake up and do it all over again.
Craig, on those hunts, like an incredible day, let's say, as good as it gets day, how many coyotes will you A, see, and B, get a shot at?
On an incredible day, an incredible day to me is you're calling in over 10 coyotes. That's a rare day. There's more guys hunting now than there ever been before, but the coyotes reproduce like crazy every year. And, and a lot of it comes down to weather. And that's one thing I've learned.
It always comes down to weather. Everything comes
weather.
Down to weather.
It dictates, and we go out there and we book a hunt, or we go on a predator contest, or we, whatever, and the weather dictates so much, because those animals don't care that you got a 2-day or 3-day hunt booked and you need these predators to come in, and they don't care. They don't fathom that. They're just holed up, if it's real windy or bad weather. And if you can get on the backside of a storm, typically 8 to 12 hours after a storm had come through, and those animals are really active.
So explain to me what ideal conditions are.
Ideal condition to me is it rains and blows sideways for a week, and then 8 to 10 hours after it lets up, that's ideal condition.
Lets up and then it's cool and crisp?
It's cool and crisp and calm, and those coyotes or predators are out hunting, breeding, or marking territory or defending territory. And that's when you have those great days, in my opinion. And for the most part, on average day, if it's 10-mile-an-hour wind and it's been like that for a week, for the most part, you're going to average with us. I mean, we think about this stuff and we look over the weather, and we've been doing it for years and we talk about it. You're going to average 4 to 6 predators to the call. And a lot of times it's 4 or 5. And then guys are like, well, I'm going to kill 4 or 5. Well, no, you're not. Because what happens is you'll call in a double, 2 coyotes, or you may call in a triple, and then you call in a single. Well, most of our hunters average about 50% of what comes to the call. And there's people out, and there's a lot of hunters that do it that only average 40 to 50%. And the reason is because coyotes don't stop running most of the time. They go to the wind. They're as savvy as they come. And a lot of guys don't shoot as well as they should be shooting. And then they get excited. When a coyote comes running in on a lope, you'd be surprised how hard your heart beats, and bouncing all over the place. So they run about 50%. I mean, these guys that just came, we just had a 3-day hunt. The first day I took them out, and we didn't call. We did 20 stands. I worked our butt off. It was blowing 40 miles an hour. We didn't call on a single coyote. The next day, the weather kind of let up just a little bit in little breaks, but it was starting to break just a little bit, and it switched. It switched from a southwest wind to a northwest wind, which will also cause activity to increase because those animals must move to get in the shelter. And it was 2 strong days of hard wind, and actually Thursday it was hard wind too. So the day before it was super hard wind. So they had to move a little bit. We ended up calling in 6. We killed 2. Missed a couple. 1 didn't get shot at. And then yesterday morning, which was really good in the morning, I think they called in 7 by 10 o'clock. And then after that, the wind picked up, and then they kind of, didn't do as well. So they ended up calling in 13 coyotes in 3 days and killing 7, which is,
that's really
7 for 13 is really good. They did a good job. And things played out well. They killed 3 coyotes on 1 stand. And yes, coyotes will come in after you shoot. It's one of those things. It's just people don't fathom it. We humanize animals a little bit too much. And not every coyote will come back, and not every coyote will come in after a shot is fired, but they will come in. Probably about 50% of the stands, if you call on 1 coyote, you just need to sit your butt down and keep calling. Because, what a lot of people don't understand is that coyote could be loping in and not hear a shot. If it's far off, he doesn't process the information that like a human is, that, oh, there's a shot over there. He's just shot Joey. They just don't think that way. And then sometimes, if he's just standing there, and you shoot at him, occasionally, if there's 2 of them, you shoot 1, occasionally you'll be able to get the other one to stop or come back. But it's rare. Coyotes are super savvy. I say it like they're stupid, but they're not. They're outside of an ape, they're probably one of the most intelligent mammals in the world. They use their nose.
What guns do you use? I
use when I'm calling, when I'm going out there to wreck shop, as we call it. I'm using a 22-250 and a 12-gauge shotgun.
You take them both with you?
I take them both with me, and the reason being is because very rarely do you see a coyote coming from miles. in the terrain that we have. It's not the open sandhills of Nebraska. It's brush.
So do you lay the 250 down and have the shotgun on
Yep.
the sticks, or vice versa?
I have the shotgun in my hand, resting on my toe, not the barrel, but resting on my toe, kind of half shouldered up, and then the 22-250 is set to my right. And I always set it I try to set it up to where my rifle's facing kind of the downwind, and I always set a little bit downwind of the call. Now that is totally different than what I do for a bobcat. And
how?
And the reason being is because now we're gonna go into philosophical craziness, but
let's hear it.
Fishing, Jay Scott. You do not fish for, even trout species the exact same way, because they're all fish, but they all have different little nuances and habits and areas that they like to.
So you're saying I don't fish for a trout the same way I fish for a bass. I can understand. I can understand
exactly. That. And the same goes for predator hunting. And if you are seriously going out there because you absolutely want to kill a bobcat, then you need to hunt specifically for bobcat. Now, with that being said, you are going to get those areas, those transition areas and stands where you do call in coyotes as well. But if you position yourself, and a lot of it's dictated by terrain and time of day, you are going to increase your odds at killing a bobcat. I live in bobcat Mecca. Most of Arizona is, but they have different transition areas and they overlap a little bit. I like to sit a little bit longer for cats, because a lot of times they'll walk in. Big toms are super confident. Sometimes they'll run in, but a lot of times they'll walk in. They'll come in on a straight line. Bobcats typically don't use their nose. They're very it's all audible and then sight, and that's why a decoy is big time for a bobcat. Versus a coyote, I've had the decoy chase coyotes off. So a bobcat, as soon as most of the time when he sees the decoy, he's hypnotized. It's like catnip. And bobcats are stupid they're killers, but they're stupid compared to coyotes in my mind, because coyotes are they use their nose. Canine species is just smarter. Just a smarter animal.
Okay, question for you. What kind of terrain are you looking for bobcat, and what kind of terrain are you looking for coyote?
Okay. Coyotes can be anywhere. Bobcats can be anywhere. But time of day dictates a lot. For me, bobcats specifically, if you think of a regular house cat, we buy all these castles and stuff for them to lay up on. And bobcats are no different. A lot of the more dominant bobcats will want to lay up higher in the middle of the day. Occasionally, they will lay in the washes, especially if they had a kill or they're being lazy. But so from basically 10 to 2, I like to call rocky outcroppings and box canyons. They will respond during the middle of the day, and they will come in on a run. And typically the reason being they do respond is because you set up right on them, and generally they're laying up and being lazy during the middle of the day. There's a lot of articles that used to say the best time to call bobcat is first thing in the morning or late at night. Well, the reason everybody wrote those articles is because they were catching bobcats in transition areas, coming off of their feeding ground, or going to their feeding ground while they were trying to call for coyotes. And that's why most people only call bobcats in the early morning or late afternoon, because they're calling for coyotes, for predators, and they're basically slopping into a bobcat. And I've done it plenty of times, so I'm not saying I can predict, all that. And I still try to do it. There's still areas where I'm like with hunters or by myself, well, there could be a bobcat or a coyote here. I'm calling for, either one. But they're in the middle of the day. If a guy bucks a bobcat hunt, I am early morning, late evening, I'm calling transition areas. Middle of the day, I'm calling rocky outcroppings, box canyons, and that's what I'm calling. And I'm sitting with the decoy. I'm generally trying to sit up high during the middle of the day. And hunting bobcats is going to be a little bit more taxing. You're going to have to walk to the back of those canyons. And hopefully, they call them cat houses. You got some sort of rock structure in the back of it where a bobcat has used the ridge or the draw to travel to and from. And so that's kind of the difference. Coyotes can be all over, and one of the most rewarding things with coyotes is to actually scout a group of coyotes, and I'm not going to give all my secrets away, but scout a group of coyotes and then go back in there and actually kill those coyotes. And it's something that a lot of guys don't and won't do. Typically the average predator hunter goes out, he goes, hey, I got a weekend, I'm going to go calling on Saturday. And he goes out and does what I call, he may have a fair amount of background, so it's not as far as familiar with the terrain and whatnot, but I call it cold calling. He's going out there with no scouting, and he's, maybe he knows the area or not, but he's just going off a whim. And that's why a lot of guys only call in, maybe one or two, and then they'll have, maybe 10 more days where they don't call anything in, and then, or they call in one, and then they'll run off 10, and they'll be a hero for a day, and then they'll go another stretch of 10 days where they don't call diddly in. It's because just like anything else, just like big game hunting, just like roosting turkeys, you got to put your time in. You put your time in, you do the work, you have all those failures, and you do scout all that time, then you're going to increase your odds. If you don't, if you just go out there and grab your calls and say I'm going to go predator calling, you're cold calling, and your odds are going to be shrunk down to where it's going to be a little bit tougher, So
I think that's I think we just started to scratch the surface. I can tell just listening to you getting revved up. I know you love it, and I think we just barely scratched the surface. You could probably give me a tutorial on all aspects of predator hunting. I think people can see that you'll love it, and it's awesome to hear the passion about. I have the same thing with a lot of different animals, one of which is turkeys, and fishing, trout fishing, among other things. But it's interesting how each activity, each sport has their own little nuances and has all the little intricate parts of what it takes to be consistent. And I know, Craig, you and I have talked about this a lot on other podcasts. But I hear you say, a hero one day, a zero next day. And I think I would tell people out there that are listening, strive to be consistent and not just a hero one day and a zero next. And, I've had people say, oh man, that animal that you and Dar just guided for, that's unbelievable. That, I want to say, yeah, well, did you see, the other hunt where we didn't do as hot? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, I strive to be consistent as a hunter and as a guide. And I think more people would have longevity if they didn't get so high and get so low. If they, I don't ever want to be judged for the quality of a guide that I am by one hunt. I want to be judged, and I've said it before, over a 20-year, 30-year span, however long, how did he do, year in, year out? How was his consistency? What do you think about that?
No, it is. I mean, I the biggest difference I see between the average Joe or the average hunter that comes in versus the guys that have been through it and actually have a realistic perspective is dealing with the slow times, the which are the majority of the times. And we all strive to be consistent, and we all put out an effort because we know that next stand or that next glassing spot that could be it, from 0 to hero. And what separates a lot of people is they haven't been through it, and they kind of want it to happen now. Well, it takes effort, and it doesn't always happen that way. I mean, Jay Scott doesn't always go out there and freaking call in a 400-inch bull, and Craig Steele doesn't always go out there and call in 10 coyotes. There's a lot of things that go on. Now, do we always try to do that? Of course. But, I think that's the thing that separates. And, you listen to everyone on the podcast that's successful, or you read about people, or even if you just look microly around your hometown or guys and you look at the ones that are consistent, it's because they've gone out there and got their butts handed to them, and then they get back up and they just keep going, because they're striving to be consistent. They realize if, I always talk about with predator hunting, and I'm going to brag a little bit. There's a hunt called the Curtis Cawthon Memorial Hunt. A friend of mine that I just got to know just when a tragic accident happened. He was a helicopter mechanic, and he was a foreman on job over in California. Anyway, he was stringing power lines, and he just went up to tell the helicopter pilot that they were going to call it off for the day. And the fuel guy was fueling up the helicopter, and a gust of wind come. And basically, the helicopter, tipped and cut him in half and killed him. The guy fueling the helicopter lived, was perfectly fine. Curtis was a super, and I didn't know Curtis very well, but he was a super competitive guy, and he was a heck of a coyote caller, and shot, from what I understand. And anyway, they do what I think is the best hunt in Arizona. They do a hunt that, like 50 to 60% of the proceeds go to families that are in need, and then the family gives back, and it's a way for them to kind of involve Curtis's name in the sport of predator hunting. Anyway, I've been doing that for, I think that hunt's been going on for 6 or 7 years now. I don't think we did it the first year, but me and my buddy Mike, we do that every year. And what a lot of people don't know, there's around 100 teams in that, and probably about 20 of the teams realistically have a shot at placing. The other 80 probably don't, and I'm not knocking anybody, but they grab their call and go out, and they really haven't done it. And it's more for pride than anything. But me and my buddy Mike, and what a lot of people don't know is I coach 2 basketball games during the middle of that on Saturday. And we have not finished in the top 5. And the reason being is just because we go. And then I know a ton of places to go, and he knows places, and we talk about it. And there's times when we haven't done well on the first day, and then we do better on the second day. But up until the very end, like there's a check-in time when you have to be there. We're generally the second or third car, if not the last car in the check-in line. So we're about ready to get disqualified every time. But that's because we're going. And I know the next stand could be the double, could be the triple. And that really is what separates the average from the good, or the good from the best, is the consistency and putting out the effort. So that's my long-winded rant and, I guess, brag.
I love it, man. Yeah, that sounds like an awesome contest. And, hats off to you for doing it, and hats off to you for remaining coaching and not forgetting your priorities and responsibilities. And that's why I call you a friend, and that's why you're a friend of the podcast, and that's why everybody enjoys listening to you talk, because you're real. And you're not sponsored. We're going to talk about that on another episode, but I had to throw that in because I heard the word sponsored. And maybe you are sponsored.
I've been there and done that road.
But you've got a real life, a real job, and you've got a touch with reality, and you're not trying to portray yourself as some superhero, superhuman person out there. You're just Craig Steele, and that's good enough for me. I love Craig Steele, and I appreciate having you on the podcast. It's unbelievable the feedback that I get on the podcast episodes that you've been on, and I just appreciate you being real, and I look forward to the next Hunt for More episode. Love those videos. For those of you that want to check Craig's stuff out, you go to orghunt.com. He also has Predator Exclusives website. He also has Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters. So Predator Exclusives obviously is his Predator business, and the Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters is all the other big game animals. And Craig, it's a pleasure. Look forward to having you on again.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me on.
You got any parting thoughts or anything? Or?
No, man, I'll just get long-winded and...
Right on, buddy. Well, sounds good. Well, God bless you, and let's pray for rain and more snow, and hopefully we have a next 2, 3, 4 months have a big wet winter, and hope we get everything that they're predicting. And thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Guys, I want to thank you for listening to the podcast today, and I want to thank Craig Steele for coming on. As always, he's one of my most popular guests, and I just want to thank you guys for your support of the podcast. If you'd like to send me comments or questions, you can email me at jscottoutdoors@gmail.com. I always appreciate hearing from my listeners. For those of you that are out hunting, send me a picture. Love to see what you got going on. Love to see the bucks that you're chasing, that you end up harvesting. I'm getting a lot of photos in on a bighorn sheep and a few deer already rolling in, and I just appreciate that. Guys, I want to thank our sponsors, GoHunt.com Insider, for their support of this podcast from the beginning. If you're not already an Insider member, you can go to GoHunt.com/Insider, click on the blue Join Now button, and when you click on that blue Join Now button and sign up for the Insider, you automatically get a $50 KUIU gift card if you use the J. Scott promo code. And I want to thank them for coming out with this Filtering 2.0 system. They've got all the harvest statistics up in the filtering, and any day now they're going to be releasing the draw odds portion of that, and it's kind of groundbreaking, and it's exciting to see. I can't wait to use it to research all my hunts that I'll be applying for this winter and this spring for next fall. So guys, I also want to thank DeadeyeOutfitters.com. They are hunters that make hunting gear. They make quality t-shirts and hats and hoodies. Chris Lacey is one of the partners in that company, and he's the designer. He's a world-renowned artist, and go check them out at DeadeyeOutfitters.com. Any of the stuff that you order there, use the J. Scott promo code. Usually it's a 10% discount, but with this Christmas season here, they're offering a 25% discount. So go check them out. Use the J. Scott promo code. And guys, with the holiday season, make sure to spend good quality time with your family and remember what's most important. Until next time, guys, God bless.